Hey there, friends. Dave Paulides, Can-Am Missing Project. Copyrighted edition for our video channel. Yeah, it's an interesting day today. Huck demanded comp time today, so I gave her the day off. Yes. So, story time for a bit here. When I was growing up in Cupertino, California, my dad was a San Francisco fireman. And he would instill on my sister and I responsibilities as an adult. One of those things was, you are who you associate with. Meaning, if you associate with a bunch of criminals, and you may be the most pure person in the world, people are going to look at you and think, he must be a criminal. So my dad said, really know who your friends are, and don't hang around with bad people. And then one day, we got on, I think it was election time. I don't remember the election. But it was about responsibility. And my mom and dad always said, we don't care how you ever vote as an adult. That's your decision. But we will demand of you to know the issues and the stance behind the person you're going to vote for. I thought about that. The stance the person has for issues. Meaning, just as an example, what's the candidate's stance on abortion? What's the candidate's stance on illegal immigration? What's their stance on freedom of speech? And they said, if you don't want to vote, and you don't want to be held accountable, then don't. But if you are going to vote, David, when they had these serious talks, it was like, David, you go out and you find the answers. And don't trust the first person you hear give you an answer. Even way back when, I think then we only had NBC, CBS, and ABC. I don't even think Fox existed back there when I was young. But they said, you listen to everybody. And you're going to be one of the best people to determine if what you're hearing is the truth. I thought about that. Really didn't think much about it, but as I got older, I did. And I took that responsibility serious. Just recently, Cheryl Atkinson, she used to be the chief investigative reporter for CBS News. You probably have heard of her. She's really famous. She's now on her own doing independent news. She wrote a book. Google her name, Atkinson, not Atkinson, Atkinson, on Amazon. She wrote a book about news sources and how people are manipulated. Because most people will read one thing, believe it, and not read others. And how there have been organizations established to manipulate your mind. It was one of the best books I ever read. It was fantastic. Now this isn't, some of you may be tuning out. That's okay. because it's only going to be a couple minutes. This isn't about how to vote. This isn't about how to manipulate your mind at all. This is about how to be an informed voter. I don't care which party it is. They want you just to listen to them. But trust me, it will do you well to listen to both parties. I appreciated what my mom and dad told me. It stuck with me for a lifetime. As I got older, it meant more to me. And today it means the most. And that's the end. Just be, you're here because I want you to think clearly. I want you to be a critical thinker on everything in your life. Same with elections. Be a critical thinker. Don't take what anybody says as truth. Dig deeper. Do not ever believe mainstream media. Don't. Thank you. Now we'll go on to missing people. First case involves a man that went missing in Idaho. Man's name was Russell Reed, 28 years old. Went missing November 9th, 2002. East of Arrow Rock Reservoir in Idaho. And that is east of Boise. Disappeared August 25th, He was born August 25th, 1974. He was born on his parents' second anniversary. Graduated from Centennial High School, and then later graduated from Boise State 2002. Yeah, that was the year he did disappear. He was described as super athletic, a compassionate, caring man, and a gentle soul with a wicked sense of humor. I'd like this guy. Originally, when he got out of school, he became a house framer, and he was known to work through the coldest of winter months framing. After he graduated from school, he got a job in 2002 as an electrical lineman. A job that paid more, was a little higher up the scale. It was known by everybody that he loved being outdoors, and specifically, he loved hunting. He was considered a serious mountain man hunting. Sometimes I can't find you the best pictures, but I really try. This is a picture of Russell right here. He's a big guy. Well, on November 9th, Russ was hunting with two friends, and they had established base camp 25 miles east of Arrow Rock Reservoir. Now, where is that exactly? So here's Boise. This is Arrow Rock Reservoir right here. And the location was 25 miles, it was actually northeast. This is still very rural, wild area out in here. His hunting friends described Russ as a tough, rough and tumble kind of guy who could take care of himself, but was kind and understandable. At 9 a.m. on November 9th, his two friends got separated from Russ. They didn't know how, but they knew they did get separated. And they really didn't think much about it because he could always take care of himself. He could handle anything in their mind. And the group was hunting for bull elk. And why is that important? I've told you many times, elk hunters are the number one type of hunters to disappear and never be found. Now, many of you have said, well, why is that, Dave? Watch Missing 411, the UFO Connection. Watch. And you can watch it on Tubi. You can watch all three of our movies, Missing 411, Missing 411, The Hunted, and the Missing 411, the UFO Connection, all on Tubi. If you're in another country, try Apple TV and Amazon. Well, that afternoon, a storm started to blow in. And they knew that Russ wasn't dressed real warmly. But they knew that he could take care of himself, and again, they didn't really think much about it. At 6 p.m., Russ was not in camp, and the temperature was 14 degrees outside. As someone who has been outside in 14 degree weather many times here in Montana, kind of my rule is it gets down below 15, and just for me, that starts to get pretty cold. That's just me. 20, 25, below 15, and it starts to get windy, yeah, that's cold to me. Well, Russ didn't come into camp that night. They still weren't too concerned. And they thought at any point he would come into camp, but they just went to sleep because he was such a studly guy. The following day, his friends reported Russ missing to the Boise County Sheriff. Deputies immediately got into the field with the hunters and searched the area he was last seen. They also knew that it had stormed, it was really cold, there was urgency to this, and they immediately called for more search and rescue assistance right after they got there. Now, the first full day of the search and rescue was November 11th. The sheriff had already requested more help and got it from the Idaho National Guard. They sent a Black Hawk helicopter with infrared. And what that helicopter did most of the time was ferry searchers back and forth and search the area where Russ was last seen. They also ferried in 2 search dogs into the area where he was last seen. I want you to pay very close attention to this. This was in the November 13th, 2002 Idaho Statesman. A reporter asked them, well, where are you searching and how are you searching? And the search commander said, we search under brush and trees right now. And we search that area and then we mark it off on a topographic map that we have of the search zone. Remember those words. That's a thorough search. And here's why. A lot of times, if it gets super cold, sometimes missing people start looking for cover to get away from the cold. If it's windy, they'll get into a log, crawl in between rocks. All completely normal in an effort to get away from the cold. Well, the friend said that they last saw Russ at 9 a.m. He was going higher in altitude, and they were going down. The sheriff, there were a lot of deputies in this area, and they put up flyers at some of the trailheads where people were coming out and put flyers on other hunters' cars that were out in the field. One of these hunters came back to their car, saw the flyer, got a hold of the sheriff, and said that at sunset on that first day, where he hadn't even been reported missing yet, but the day that he split up from the other hunters, some hunters stated that they saw him right before dusk. He was doing well, he was alive, he was hunting. Well, it had been 14 degrees for a while by then, so I guess he was okay. Friends said that they always expected Russ to walk out at any moment. They said that on the second day of the search. Now, on November 12th, 24 Idaho Mountain Rescue ground pounders were on scene and 2 canine units. November 13th, 50 searchers, 1 dog, and 1 helicopter were on scene. That's still a large contingent of people. I've said this before, but I'll say it again because it is important. If you're lost in an area, one of your responsibilities is to get into an area and stay still. Don't walk around. Stay still. But be in an area where if there's flyovers, they will see you. If you see a plane or a helicopter, take off your coat or use something large and swing it above your head. And keep doing that as long as you can see the helicopter or plane. That's something that they will see. November 14th, search and rescue started to fear that Russ was deceased. They hadn't been finding any tracks in the snow. Canines were not hitting on anything. No tracks, no scent, nothing. Well, the sheriff terminated the official search, but volunteers, friends, and family stayed on scene and wouldn't quit. In fact, friends and family stayed for an extra 5 days. They wouldn't give up on Russ. They felt he had the wherewithal to survive, and that's what they were in the game for. November 19th, they finally quit. They gave up. They were confused as all heck. They just didn't believe Russ would die out there like that. He knew the area. He would have walked out. That was their opinion. December 15th, friends and family wrote an article and bought a location in the paper where they thanked the sheriff. And this is what it said. We'd like to thank, in memory of Russell Reed, I'd like to thank the Idaho County Search and Rescue, Boise County Sheriff's Department, Idaho State Police, Idaho Fish and Game, Idaho Army National Guard. Those are all the groups that were searching. And all the many friends and family who helped in the search for Russell. Please take solace in knowing that Russell left us doing what he loved. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. God bless you all, the Reed family. It was very nice of that family to write those things, thanking the search and rescue, because 90% of all search and rescue is done by volunteers. Friends and family went back to this spot many times over the years. Hunters had crisscrossed that area many times over the years. Then, 5 years later, almost to the day, November 6th, 2007, a hunter was walking through the area where he disappeared. And he found remains. Called the sheriff. Sheriff came out, and they found a skull with teeth in it. They also found some clothes and a rifle that belonged to Russ. A dental technician, forensic dental technician, positively ID'd the skull as Russ. This is what the sheriff said at the time after the ID was Russ. Stated this was in an area which was covered near where he was last seen. It was searched multiple times. Unknown cause of death. Profile points. Water was all over that area. He was an elk hunter. Point of separation. He separated from his two friends. Unknown cause of death. Found in an area previously searched. Friends, I can't tell you how many times this happens. I do not believe that searchers and dogs are that bad. I'm sorry, I don't. A dog's nose does not lie. Sorry. I'm sorry. I just don't believe it. Now, the next case. We were talking about Mount St. Helens not too long ago, right? And 2 people who disappeared up there, remember? Well, hold your taters. Mount St. Helens is east of Kelso, Washington. Kelso, Washington, the location I gave a Bigfoot talk, had a huge rousing ovation, invited back the next year, and Angie and I got death threats. You show up here and something bad's going to happen to you. Well, it probably wouldn't happen at the convention, but would happen to or from our hotel. So I didn't go. They got their way. Now, if it was just me, I'd go. Screw it. Well, let's go. But Angie goes with me because I need her at the desk. Then we get overwhelmed. So, this case involves a man named Edward Gross, 46 years old, missing October 4th, 1931. Again, Mount St. Helens is just a little bit above the Oregon border, kind of in the southwest part of Washington. He was a significant man in Kelso. He owned the gas station in the town in 1931. That was a big deal. Everyone liked him. Everyone respected him. He knew everybody in the community and saw him every other day or 3 or 4. Kind of like the center point for the community. On October 2nd, Ed and friends Leo Tomani and Herbert Coulter left Kelso, drove 25, 30 miles east towards the base of Mount St. Helens. This is before the explosion. I'd show you a picture now, but it wouldn't make any sense to what they were facing then. It was much more wooded. Spirit Lake existed then. It was much more aesthetically beautiful than the barren ground that is today. Well, the men arrived in that afternoon of October 2nd, and they established their camp. And before it got dark, they went out and went hunting. They came back at dark, no issues, everything was fine. October 3rd, they had a full day of hunting. Most of the time they hunted together. They didn't kill anything. They didn't see anything worth shooting. They came back at the end of the day. All was fine. October 4th, Sunday, last day of their hunt. The men all had to go home to work Monday. And then because they hadn't had any success seeing any animals, stop here for a second. I think this is significant. If you go to an area to hunt, you hunt the area, especially if you've been there many times, because you have success. You see animals. To not see animals is unusual. Well, they hadn't seen any. So Sunday they decided they'll split up. 3 guys go separate directions. They'd meet back at camp at the end of the day. They'd load their car and they'd head home to Kelso for work on Monday. Everyone agreed. They took off. End of the day, everyone returns. Nobody got an elk or a deer, except Ed. He did not return. His friends went off, contacted the Paulides County Sheriff. Deputies arrived, and they decided to make the area of the Mount St. Helens post office, just north of there, the search and rescue headquarters. Again, I can't show you on a map because it doesn't exist. Well, on October 5th was the first full day of the search and rescue. Sheriff got lots of assistance because of Ed's notoriety. Word had already gotten back to Kelso and the communities around Kelso that Ed was missing, and everyone dropped everything and came out there. On October 6th, they had 40 men from Kelso and 2 bloodhounds, and they decided to focus on the upper Toutle River area. Ed's partners, his hunters, said that he was an extremely knowledgeable hunter who knew the area inside out and backwards, and nobody believed he would get lost. So with that, they weren't looking for somebody who was lost. They were either looking for somebody who was injured or something else happened. October 7th, another search and rescue camp was established near Weyerhaeuser property on Spirit Lake Road. Hold your taters. If you watched Missing 411, the UFO Connection, do you remember something about this? You should. In that movie, we told a story about some men working for Weyerhaeuser, and they were planting trees on a log mountainside just west of Mount St. Helens. Yeah, the same area. And there's a group of, I think there were 12 men there. And they see a UFO fly up the valley, hover over some elk. They all run except one elk. UFO goes down. Somehow or another, they said there was no ropes or anything, but somehow or another, they picked up an elk and flew away with it. So UFO activity in and around Mount St. Helens has been going on for a long time. I'm not saying that's what happened to Ed. I'm just giving you facts based on the movie I did. Well, there were many rumors about where Ed may have gone on his hunting escapade on foot. They knew he was in really good shape, but nobody had seen him out after he separated from his friends. October 9th through the 15th, 6 days. 50 searchers stayed on the hunt. It's a very long time to stay away from your business, not be earning money, and commit your time to your friend. It was outstanding. October 17th, the sheriff requested the services of the most famous search and rescue dog in the Pacific Northwest. I've talked about this before too. Arnold von Minkelried. And he got it. He also got the services from John Ferguson of Woodland, his bloodhound, another search and rescue dog. And he split those dogs up, having them search different areas, and then flip-flopped them the other day. Neither dog found anybody. Neither dog found any scent. They didn't find Ed's coat, rifle, nothing. On October 18th, Mary Gross, Ed's wife, posted a $300 reward in an effort to keep the searchers in the field and looking for her husband. Think about the conflict that poor wife was under. She had a business that her husband ran. She didn't know anything about it. A center point of the community. She needed her husband back. Now at this point, you have 14 days of searching, an unbelievable amount of time for 1931. A 200% more time than most searchers get today. And again, this was probably because Ed was known throughout the community. So he had two of the best search and rescue dogs in the Pacific Northwest, and they found nothing. Lakes and rivers were in this area, and in fact, one of the areas they were looking was near the Toutle River. Sheriff stated that Ed was the most experienced hunter in that part of Washington. That's quite a thing to say about somebody. You have point of separation when the men separated to hunt. You've got a cluster zone of disappearances here. And just by pure coincidence, you have Missing 411, the UFO Connection, with the deer taken on Weyerhaeuser property. And you have many, many famous Bigfoot stories coming out of the same area. Ed was never found. And my question to you is, how is that even possible? What I don't understand, and I never really did understand it, is how can canines not pick up a scent trail when his friends said he was in camp? And it's very rarely explained in these, because you start trailing from the point he was last seen. He was last seen in camp. Okay, get one of his coats or his t-shirt or something he was wearing, give it to the dogs that gives them the scent, and let him go. So what are they going to do? They're going to walk in circles right there in camp? Well, this has happened before. Now, the story is in this book right here, Missing 411 Washington. By the way, one of the best sellers of all time that I've written. And the things that people have said about this book are really well done. Now, get this book at our website, NA, like North America, nabigfootsearch.com, along with my other 12 books on missing people. Ed is one of a long list of missing hunters. And in the years after he disappeared, thousands of hunters hunted that area. Ed was never found. So I gave you 2 missing hunter cases. A little different, where one's found and one's not. I greatly appreciate you being here. You're a very kind group of people. This is the kindness revolution. I know that there's a lot of people out there in the news right now that are angry at each other, that call each other names, point at each other, rah, rah, rah. We don't do that, though. There's no reason to do that. If you can't get your point across by talking politely and nicely and factually with somebody, walk away. Don't waste your time on them. If people want to yell and scream, don't come down to their level. You're better than that, and you're smarter than that. Please share this on your social media. Make sure you're subscribed. The number of people unsubscribed on this channel are unbelievable. True. Kindness. Be nice to people. Do something for someone out there. And I have read that many of you are doing some really nice things out there, and that is absolutely fantastic. Read the comments on the video, and people say what they're doing to be kind. That's awesome. Be good. I'm going to go out and see if Huck is having fun on her comp day off. Anyhow, Paulides out.